What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Marincess deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that can summon out all sorts of awesome boss monsters like Aqua Argonaut to be able to control the board and go in for game. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's go and get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Blue Tang. Blue Tang is definitely a 3-of in the build and one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck because this card is the best normal summon. With the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually send a Marincess monster from your deck to the graveyard, except a copy of Blue Tang. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a linked summon of a water monster, you can actually excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do, you get to add 1 excavated Marincess card to your hand, and then you shovel the rest back in the deck. This card is amazing as a normal summon to help you send your copy of Seahorse to the graveyard, and then link it away to be able to actually summon out your copy of Blue Slug, so Blue Slug can grab Seahorse out of the graveyard and you can go full combo. We then play 3 copies of Seahorse. Seahorse is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is an awesome extender. And you can actually special summon this card from your hand to a zone a Marincess Link monster points to. And this card is an awesome card to be able to send to the graveyard off your copy of Blue Tang so you can recover it off of your copy of Blue Slug. We then play 3 copies of Aqua Angel. Aqua Angel is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is just an awesome extender that is always treated as a Marincess card, and link monsters that point to this card cannot be destroyed by battle, and once per duel, if you control a Trickstar or a Marincess monster, you can special summon this card from your hand to the graveyard, and if this card is sent to the graveyard as a link material, you can actually look at all cards in your opponent's hand and all set cards they control, which is a really powerful effect to know what your opponent's playing and to know what you're going to have to play through to establish an insane board. We then play 3 copies of Pascalis. Pascalis is definitely a 3-of in the build as well, and just an awesome card to be able to play in the deck, as this card has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually special summon a Marincess monster from your hand in defense position, except another copy of this card, getting you an additional monster out on your side of the field, so that you can basically keep link climbing into the exact monsters you want. We then play 3 copies of Spring Girl. Spring Girl is a really cool extender in the deck that you can actually banish a Marincess monster from the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand, which is an awesome ability just to get you an additional Marincess on your side of the field. We then play 2 copies of Mandarin. Mandarin is great in the deck as a 2-of, and I'm always going between 1 and 2 copies of this card, but I feel like 2 copies is perfect for this deck right now. And this card has the ability, if you control 2 or more Marincess monsters, while this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can actually target a water link monster you control and special summon this card to a zone that that monster points to, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a great effect to help you get an additional monster out on your side of the field so you can keep link climbing. Again, you could play this card at 1 if you want to in the deck, but I really am liking 2 currently in this build. We then play a single copy of Sleepy Maiden. Sleepy Maiden is great as a 1-of in the build because this card actually lets you target a Marincess card you control and then special summon this card in your hand. And if you do, it gains this effect that while you control this card in the monster zone, the targeted monster cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which is a pretty cool effect, just to give you a little bit of protection, and also use this card as an awesome extender. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is definitely a 3-of in the build to basically just stop your opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is crazy powerful in this build to basically just stop your opponent from touching the deck for the rest of the turn. We then play 3 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru is great to be able to break your opponent's board, and it's very easy to out Nibiru tokens in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Molcharmy Fluros. Fluros is great to help us dig into the deck for the exact cards we need. It's just an awesome hand trap overall this format to be able to play to basically help us draw cards and just stop our opponent from playing, because they're not going to play through a copy of Fluros, especially the amount of hand traps that Marincess can actually play, because it's insane. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is definitely a 1-of in the build to basically just stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We play a single copy of Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator is awesome in the deck as a 1-of to basically just, again, stop your opponent's hand traps. So we have so many different hand traps in the deck this card can actually counter. It's definitely a 1-of in the build. We play a single copy of Triple Tactics Talent. This card is an extremely handy 1-of in the deck to help us either draw 2 cards, look at our opponent's hand, or actually take control of an opponent's monster until the end phase, but it's really good in the deck, especially with your copy of Aqua Angels, to know exactly what you're going to have to play against, and it's really good to actually use in this deck as a 1-of. We play a single copy of Battle Ocean. Battle Ocean is awesome in the deck as a 1-of because this card is insane with your copy of Aqua Argonaut with the ability all Marincess monsters you control gain 200 attack, and also each one gains 600 attack for each Marincess card equipped to it, and monsters you control in the extra monster zone that were link summoned using a Marincess Crystal Heart as a material are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. And when you link summon a Marincess monster to the extra monster zone, except during the damage step, you can equip 3 Marincess link monsters with different names from your graveyard to that monster as a material, or just basically equip it to that monster, which is an insane effect to just instantly equip 3 monsters to your card to basically give it a 2000 attack point boost, making your copy of Aqua Argonaut go all the way up to 4300, which is insane. And it gives it so many different boosts because this card basically is what the entire deck revolves around, especially the effect of Aqua Argonaut to negate spells and traps, which is actually insane. This card you want to get to as quickly as possible in the deck, but it is searchable, which is why we just play a single copy, but it's crazy powerful just to equip 3 Marincess monsters to your copy of Aqua Argonaut, and it's such a cool card in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Marincess Dive. Marincess Dive is great as a 2 on the build because you actually activate one of the following effects, and for the rest turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon except for water, which is totally fine because it's pretty much all we play in the build. This card lets us target a non-link Marincess monster in the graveyard and special summon him, or if we control our copy of Battle Ocean, you can actually special summon a Marincess monster directly from your deck, turning this card into an E-Telly if you have Battle Ocean on your side of the field, which is crazy powerful. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Marincess Wave. Marincess Wave is really good as a 2-0 in the build because this card is 2 more hand traps in this build, but this card is searchable. And this card has the ability, if you control a Marincess Link monster, you can target a face-up monster that your opponent controls and negate that face-up monster's effects until the end of the turn. And if you control a Link 2 or higher Marincess monster, all face-up monsters that you currently control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of the turn. If you control Link 3 or higher Marincess monster, which you usually will, you can activate this card from your hand, which is a crazy powerful effect. This card is basically an insane hand trap just to stop your opponent, and it is searchable, but it's so powerful that I absolutely love playing 2 copies in this build. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is amazing as a 3-of in the build to basically just stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with a single copy of Aqua Argonaut. Aqua Argonaut is such a powerful boss monster to make with your copy of Battle Ocean and equipping 3 Marincess Link monsters to it. With your copy of Battle Ocean, this card comes out at basically 4,300, which is insane. And also this card has the ability, while this card is in the extra monster zone, your opponent's monsters cannot attack any monsters except for this one, and you can only use each of the following effects card once per turn. That you can target a water monster that you control and 1 card your opponent controls and return them back to the hand, which is a pretty cool effect. Also, during your opponent's turn, when a spell trap card or effect is activated on the field, quick effect, you can special summon 1 of your Marincess monsters equipped to this card, and if you do, negate the activated effect, which is a great ability to use this card as a spell trap negate, and to be able to bump 1 of your copies of Marincess monsters equipped to this card back to your main monster zone, which is great to be able to do. Then we have a single copy of Bubble Reef. Bubble Reef is great because this card helps us draw cards, and it's just a really good 1-of in the build. We have a single copy of Zelantis because we can easily waterlock ourselves with our copy of Coral Anemone, then summon out this card to our side of the field, banishing every monster off the field, and then putting them back on the field. And since we are using a copy of Coral Anemone and we're putting the cards back on the field, it actually will not put anything back on the field except for water monsters, so we can actually use this card to banish our opponent's entire field if they're not playing water, which is crazy powerful. We then play a single copy of Marbled Rock. Marbled Rock is just a really cool combo piece in the deck, and I absolutely love playing this card as a one-of in the build. I'm going to steal a copy of Coral Triangle. Coral Triangle is one of those crazy cards in the entire extract, because this card searches out our copy of Wave and is basically Soul Charge, because you can actually send a water monster from your hand to the graveyard to add a Marincess trap from your deck to your hand, basically your copy of Wave. And also, if only our opponent controls a monster, you can actually banish this card in the graveyard to be able to special summon Water Link monsters from your graveyard whose combined link rating is exactly 3, which is a really powerful effect to be able to use just to help you recover your board and get monsters back on your side of the field just in case your opponent board wipes you. This card is so good in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone is basically a walking monster reborn with the deck, but it does waterlock ourselves, so we can actually use Zelantis as a board wipe in the deck. But this card is so good in the build, because if it's sent to the graveyard, from the field to the graveyard, you can actually target a Marincess card in the grave and add it back to your hand, which is such a powerful effect to help you grab the exact card that you need. We may see a copy of the Water Charmer. Water Charmer is great in the build, just as an option in this deck. And let's see a copy of Splash Mage. Splash Mage is basically walking monster reborn in the build. Let's see a copy of Crystal Heart. Crystal Heart is great if you can step into this card and you have the materials to make it. You can use this card with your copy of Battle Ocean to step into your copy of Aqua Argonaut to give it some bonus effects, which is absolutely insane. It's just really good in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Blue Slug. Blue Slug is great in this deck to be able to link summon into. This card is really, if this card is link summon, you can actually target a Marincess monster in the graveyard and add it back to your hand, which is a great ability to be able to summon out your copy of Blue Slug to your, or your copy of Blue Tang to your side of the field, send your copy of Seahorse to the graveyard, and then link away your copy of Blue Tang to be able to make this card. And then once you do, you can actually add Seahorse back to your hand and then go full combo, which I actually have combos on the channel for you guys to check out. You should definitely check out 3 combos that you need to know to play Marincess. It's super helpful, and it's a really cool combo guide to actually check out to actually play this deck. But basically what you always want to do is remember blue for blue, C for C, to make sure that you know what you're doing, because Seahorse will actually link into your copy of Sea Angel, and Blue Tang will link into your copy of Blue Slug, usually in your combo. But this card is great because if this card is linked, you actually add a Marincess spell from your deck to your hand, which can be your copy of Battle Ocean, or can be your copy of Dive if you already have Battle Ocean, which is really good. We then finally played a single copy of number 4. Number 4 is just really good in the deck overall because this card turns every monster on the field into water, and also it's kind of like a miniature Dragoon because once per turn during the main phase, you can quick effect destroy a water monster that your opponent controls, which everything will be water, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack of that monster it had on the field, which is a great effect just to do a little bit of burn damage, especially if you're going into time. This card is just an awesome rank 4 to play in the deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Marincess deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's super fun to be able to play, and it's insane how powerful this deck is just because of how consistent it is to be able to summon out Aqua Argonaut and the amount of hand traps you can actually play in this deck. So that's good for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.